Black fatigue. We want to know tonight, are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? I am your host, True and Living. We're here to talk about black fatigue. We're here to talk about, white men struggling with the woes of black fatigue. This is me picking up on a show we did a couple of days ago. Let me just get the poll ready, guys. We're here to talk about black fatigue. Make sure you guys hit that like button. 1 second. Are you a white man struggling with black fatigue? Are you a white man struggling with black fatigue? I'm just getting the poll ready, ready for you guys. Struggling with black fatigue. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Getting the poll ready for you guys. Are you a white man struggling with the grips of black fatigue? I'm here to talk to you guys tonight. Yeah, man, I want to know. We're picking up on this conversation from yesterday. This is part 4 of this conversation. White people dealing with black fatigue. Are you a white man, a white woman, and you are struggling with the woes of black fatigue? Are you tired of living amongst black people? Are you tired of the criminality? Are you tired of the ratchetness? Are you tired of the loud black music? Are you tired of the debauchery that you feel that the black community is giving to the world? I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, in terms of black fatigue. Are you guys dealing with black fatigue? I am your host, True and Living. We're here to talk about this. I'm here to walk this thing down. I'm here to talk about white fatigue. I am a black man. I am dealing with white fatigue. I feel that the white majority, the white populace, have done a lot to subjugate, oppress black people, and I'm dealing with my own bit of fatigue from the white community. So I'm here to talk about my white fatigue, and I'm here to talk about you guys' black fatigue. And maybe we can find a common ground. You can find a common ground in your black fatigue. I can find a common ground in my white fatigue, and maybe we could talk about something. Salute. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. I know we're white fatigue. Salute to everybody in the building. Miracle says white evils on Africa. Yeah, there's a lot of white evil people in Africa. A lot of subjugation and oppression in Africa. Salute to everybody in the building. Matthew says, I'm white, but we all bleed red blood, all God's human. Listen, I agree with that aspect. I agree with that. But we have a lot of racists, and they haven't coined the term. They've stolen this term of black fatigue. There's a lot of white racists. They're complaining that they don't want to live amongst black people. They don't want to be around them. They say that black people are the problems of all the problems in the world today. We're the highest rate in criminality. We're the highest rate in this, the highest rate in that. They say these things, and we're here to have the discussion. Are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? I'm here to have the discussion. Sonny says, no one could be more tired than blacks tired of white. Exactly. Nobody could be more tired than black people are of white people. White people have dealt with a lot of subjugation and oppression in America. We've been oppressed at every systematic level. No matter how you, because white people, they think so lowly. They think it's just, black people, being, a KKK burning crosses on lawns and, domestically terrorizing people. No, it's deeper than that. It's redlining, wealth redistribution. It's the GI Bill, refusing to give black soldiers homes. It's white oppression and white racism at every systematic level. Racism is a system. It's deeper than just a white person calling you the N-word. It's deeper than that. If white people don't grasp that, then they'll never grasp the full reality of being black in America. They'll never grasp it. If you think that racism is just a white person calling a black person the N-word, then you fully don't grasp the concept of racism. Because racism is deeper than that. It's a systematic system that works to oppress black people in every level, you know? Whether it be the job market, whether it be buying a home, whether it be business, whether it be furthering your life, no matter what it is, it's a systematic system built to oppress black people. Bander says, get a job. I have two jobs. I have two jobs. So you possibly can't be talking to me. El Gallo says they don't want to grasp it. They don't want to understand. Exactly. They don't want to understand. Because you know what it is? It's easier as a ignorant white person, it's easier to eat your bologna sandwich, shoot up your meth, and blame black people for all your problems. It's easier to do that. It's easier to do that. It's easier to do that than to really think about this nation's history, think about all of the things that this country has done to black people, all the oppression and the things that they've done, and they've done it to other groups. It's not just black people. They've done it to the Asians, they've done it to the Hispanics, but nobody has suffered like Black America in America. So yeah, I agree with you. They don't want to grasp it because it's easier to, shoot up your meth pipe, eat your bologna sandwich with a lot of mayo. It's easier to do that. And I spoke about that yesterday. It's easier to do that. And a lot of what a lot of white people are dealing with, they're dealing with the overwhelming weight of white guilt. White guilt has consumed them. So when it's overwhelming, the hate and the oppression and the racism that you've dished out to these communities, it's hard to right the wrongs. It's hard to fix the situation. It's hard to be sympathetic. It's easier to be ignorant. It's easier to go the other way. It's easier to blame black people. It's easier to be combative against black people. It's easier to do that because the hard thing would be to do the right thing, would to right the wrongs, would be to move forward, to be better, to apologize. These things are harder to do. So it's easier to eat your bologna sandwich with the extra mayo, shoot up your meth pipe. It's easier to do that. So that's what that's what white people, that's what white, racist, ignorant people have chosen to do, in my opinion. That's what it is, Hashim says, I don't know what I don't know what you mean by that. Salute. Everybody in the building, hit that like button, yo. Everybody that's in the building. We're here to talk about white fatigue. We're here to talk about black fatigue. Now, make no mistake, in terms of black fatigue, let's talk about black fatigue for a second. White people have stolen this idea and this concept of black fatigue. Let me just give you guys the definition. Salute to everybody in the building. Make sure you guys hit that like button. The definition of black fatigue, that term was about black people suffering under the conditions in America. They were dealing with the civil rights era. They were dealing with Jim Crow. They were dealing with racism and oppression in America. And black fatigue, that's what black fatigue was about. It's not about white people feeling, disgusted by the criminality of blacks. That's not what it started from. It started from black people dealing with the racism and oppression in America. White people have stolen black fatigue, the term, and they have gentrified it, if you will. And they have turned it into, we're taking this term and we're saying we're tired of black people. We're tired of the criminality. We're tired of you guys' attitude. We're tired of this and we're tired of that. They have gentrified the term, if you will. And in my opinion, I don't care that white people are tired of black people. I don't, because, when you guys were domestically terrorizing us, when you guys went over to Africa and you put chains on us, you didn't care about our fatigue. You didn't care about, you didn't care how we felt about, being, to be thrown on a slave ship and to go to a foreign land. You didn't care about when you broke up our families and you sent somebody's wife to this slave plantation. You sent somebody's child to this slave plantation. You sexually assaulted that person's wife. You had this person's, you had this black man work on this slave plantation for his whole life. generation after generation after generation. You didn't care about black fatigue. You didn't care about how we felt then. You didn't care about our black fatigue. You didn't care about how we felt. You didn't care about our feelings. You leaned on us. But you expect us to give a damn about your black fatigue because you're tired of two Negroes busting guns at each other in a neighborhood, or you're tired of young black kids wearing hoods and you're petrified and you want to walk across the street. We don't give a damn. We don't give a damn. I'm sorry. We don't give a damn. I don't care about your white. I don't care about your black fatigue. Get over yourself. And the reality of it is this. Like I said, white people are consumed with white guilt. They're consumed by white guilt. And the reality is, black people, they can't just get rid of us. That's the problem with foundational black America. When it comes to foundational black America, they can't just get rid of us. We're not like, the immigrant class. We're not like, people that have came here from foreign countries that they could deport, that they could get rid of. They can't do that with us. We built the country. We fought in your wars. We are the foundational blocks of this country. We built the damn country. It was built off of our backs. This country's economics was built off the backs of slaves. We've built your White House. We've built your monuments. We've given inventions. We fought in your wars. The first man to die for this country. Look this up. Anybody who wants to know. The first person to die for America was a black man by the name of Crispus Attucks. We are deeply entrenched into the history of America. So there's no getting rid of us. You can't deport us like the illegal immigrant Mexican. You can't send us off to a foreign country and not deal with the racism, not deal with the oppression, not deal with the dastardly deed that you've done to black people. You've created this. And just like how a lot of white America, they create these issues, and instead of fixing the problem, they'd rather go the other way. They'd rather be ignorant to the problem. They'd rather turn a blind eye to the problem. The reality is, black people should have gotten reparations a long time ago. We shouldn't be talking about reparations in 2025. Those black people, those black men and women, during that time, during Reconstruction, they should have been allocated reparations a long time ago. They should have been allocated that money a long time ago. But America never wrote those wrongs. They never fixed. They never, wrote. They never fixed it. They never fixed it. So I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. Somebody says, Jay, reparations, who's paying it? In my opinion, this is my opinion, right? Now, this doesn't mean that this is an absolute fact that this is what should happen. And we got 24 people in the building. We only got 4 likes. Hit that like button up. Hit that like button up. Hit that subscribe button up, right? In my opinion, when we look at Doge, right? When we look at Doge, we look at all the governmental fraud. Look at all the money that was frauded out of the government. All the money that was allocated. We got programs, training mice to be LGBTQ and transgender. We got programs. You gave Stacey Abrams $100 million for what? For what? Her program made $100 last year. The following year, it made $100 million. That's money laundering. When we look at all the governmental fraud, clearly we have the money to pay the people that suffered under slavery, the ancestors of those people who suffered under slavery. The money's there. And I believe that the taxpayer should pay for it. I believe that, we have the money there. It can be allocated. It can be done. Now, hear me out, because I know how a lot of y'all feel about reparations. I know a lot of you guys are or nay, especially if you're white, against reparations. But hear me out on this. I don't think that white people or white America should fit the bill for black people for the rest of their lives, right? I don't feel that black America should be dependent on the government, dependent on these things, right? Allocating money, whatever it is. But when it comes to reparations, black people are owed reparations. Absolutely. They are owed reparations. The ancestors of those slaves deserve reparations. After we fit this bill, after we give black America reparations, I think America should no longer have to, we shouldn't be have to asking white America or asking the government for anything. At that, I don't think that we should be sufficient on the government. I don't think we should be leaning on the government for anything else. If America could fit the bill for reparations, I'm willing to say, yo, we don't need no more from white America. We don't need no more from the government. You've written the wrongs. You've allocated the money to the ancestors of these slaves. You've written these wrongs. So that's where I'm at. But I don't think black America should be dependent on the government for the rest of their lives. I don't believe that. So if you're a white person and you think that, when black people get reparations, that they should be, paid for the rest of their lives. No, I think that it should be a check that should be allocated to those black Americans, those foundational black Americans. That money should be allocated to them. It should be paid in full. And we should, and that should be it. It shouldn't be more money coming in. That money should be paid out. That money should be allocated, and that's what it is. But do I think that the government should be paying or fitting the bill for America, for Black America? Maybe not. But that would be more so my plan. We have the money. We have the money. We have the money for that to be allocated. But that's how I feel. A lot of people feel different on that. A lot of people have different opinions on reparations. But if you were to ask me, that would be my plan, right? Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone should be dependent on the government. I forgot what president said, but it's not what your country could do for you, but it's what you can do for your country. And in essence, I kind of believe in that. Salute to Vent. I haven't seen Vent in a while. What's up, Vent? Good to see you, bro. We only got 7 likes in the building. Hit that like button up. Hit that like button up. Hit that subscribe button up. Hit that like button up. We're here talking about black fatigue. Are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? This is like an ED commercial, right? Are you a white man? Are you dealing with a limp a limp rod? Call 1-800 my white limp rod. I feel like this is an ED commercial. Are you dealing with black fatigue? Are you tired of black people? Are you tired of the ratchetness? Are you tired of the criminality? We're here to talk about it tonight. Yeah, we're here to talk about it tonight. We got 29 people in the building. Hit that like button up. Hit that like button up. Hit that subscribe button up. In my opinion, though, I think that black fatigue is nonsense. I think it's jargon. I think it's nonsense. I don't think that black fatigue exists. I believe that what you have is white people who are dealing with an immense amount of white guilt. They're dealing with an immense amount of white guilt. And instead of saying, instead of being sympathetic, instead of righting the wrongs, instead of, helping the situation, instead of, all of those things, they have chosen to go the other way. And, listen, we also have to talk about this in terms of black fatigue. Every community, I want y'all to clip this one. This is what I want y'all to take away out of anything that I say tonight. I want you to take away this. Every community, whether you're black, whether you're white, Hispanic, foreigner from any country, immigrant, no matter where you're from, every race has undesirables. Every race. White people want you to believe, oh, black people, oh, they're so ghetto and ratchet and the hip hop music and the loud music and yada, yada, yada. They want you to believe that, oh, that's about 80% of black America. No, absolutely not. There's a lot of black Americans that go to work every day. They do their taxes. They work their 9 to 5. They go to church. They're tax-paying citizens. They're homeowners. They obey the law. Every community has undesirables. The white community has undesirables. They shoot. Listen, there's tax-paying citizens that are white, that do the right thing. They're homeowners. They're taking care of their families. But then you have white people that are shooting drugs between their toes, shooting skag between their toes, lighting up meth pipes, doing crack cocaine. Hunter Biden, salute. Addicts, people out of control, drunkards, criminals, gang members, all types of riffraff that come from the white community. And it's indicative of every race. Every race has their undesirables. Nobody's perfect, and every race has their undesirables. So we have to get away from this concept that, oh, it's black criminality, it's the culture, yada yada yada. And let's be honest, when white people say, when white people deem the term, when they say it's the culture of being black, it's the culture. Remember, black people were under oppression and they were under captivity for 400 years. White people had black people under captivity for 400 years. If you're saying that the culture of black America is violence, criminality, over sexuality, and you had us under oppression for 400 years, this is where white people got to be careful. Because I want y'all to think, if you had black people under captivity for 400 years, and you're saying the nature of black America and black culture is criminality, over sexuality, ratchetness, where did we learn it from? Think about that for a second. You had us under captivity for 400 years. Where did we learn the criminality? Where did we learn the over sexuality? Where did we learn the ratchetness? We had to learn this activity. We had to. We were under threat of being lynched, under threat of being beaten until submission and until we lost our lives. Where did we learn the criminality, white America? Where did we learn the over-sexuality? Where did we learn? Where did we learn it? So they have to be careful. White America, you have to be careful about, the culture of black people is ratchetness, is criminality. Where did we learn it from? A lot of people don't realize this nation's, first gangsters, they weren't black. This nation's first gangsters, they were not black. If you look into the history of this country, the first gangsters in this country were Anglo-Saxon. A lot of them were Jewish. A lot of people don't know that the Italian mafia, they didn't bring that mafia style. They learned it from the Jewish. Somebody by the name of the Brain. Look into the Brain. He was a Jewish gangster. This is where the five families out of New York, this is where they learned how to do organized crime. So this nation's first gangsters, when you're talking about gangsterism, when you're talking about, criminality, this nation's first gangsters were Anglo-Saxon, Jewish American, Machine Gun Kelly. Look into these people. This was this nation's first gangsters. These were not black Americans. So when white America, you tell people that, oh, it's the culture of black America, the criminality, where did we learn it from? Where did we learn it from? We had to learn it from somewhere. 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 You had us under captivity for 400 years. We had to learn the criminality from someone. So that's just something to think about. But in terms of black fatigue, I don't believe in black fatigue. I believe that black fatigue is a misnomer. It doesn't exist. What you have is, and white people should just be honest about it, you're dealing with the overwhelming weight of white guilt. And instead of fixing the problem, instead of dealing with the problem, instead of being sympathetic, and I do think we should be sympathetic to other cultures' problems. We should be sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to the Hispanic community. You know, I'm sympathetic to illegal immigrants that come here. And just because they hop over the border, they're looking for a better life. I'm sympathetic to that. So I'm sympathetic to other cultures. We got to think. We live in America. We live in the melting pot. This is a melting pot of cultures. So I'm sympathetic. But when you look at white America and they complaining about black fatigue and things of to me, it just sounds like you're dealing with the overwhelming weight of white guilt, and you're not sympathetic to other cultures and their problems and the things that they're suffering with. That's what it sounds like to me. Again, I'm sympathetic to the white community and their opioid crisis. There's an opioid crisis in white America. I'm sympathetic. I feel for the white people that are dealing with opioids and they're dealing with, the fentanyl and all that. I'm sympathetic to your community and their plight. But when you complain, oh, black people and the criminality, to me it just sounds like you just have no sympathy. You don't have any, you don't have any compassion in your heart. Now that's fine. That's fine if you choose to. If you choose to have no sympathy, you choose not to have any compassion in your heart. That's fine. But that's what it just sounds like to me. It sounds like you're dealing with the overwhelming weight of white guilt, and you have no compassion. That's what it sounds like to me. Oh yeah, salute to Sleepy Joe. Listen, man, I'm no fan of Joe Biden. I would never vote for him. I do think that Joe Biden's a racist, absolutely. But I want to say, respect to Joe Biden. It was reported that he's dealing with prostate cancer. Salute to Joe Biden, bro. Salute to Joe Biden. I don't want nothing. I don't want to say nothing negative about Joe Biden. Salute to him. Listen, whatever you say about him, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna give Joe Biden his flowers. I will say this because I do appreciate it. Joe Biden tried in terms of the student loans. He tried. He tried to get it in. I know the Sleepy Joe stuff. I know all of the things people have said about him. They've said a lot of things. He tried. For anybody who has ever taken out a student loan, anyone who's ever went to college, he tried. He tried. He tried. So for that demographic of people who have taken out student loans, who owe on their student loans, he tried. A lot of presidents did not try. A lot of presidents did not care. So I'm gonna give Joe Biden that much, and salute to him. And I hope that he gets well from his prostate. I don't wish nothing against Joe Biden. The man, was president for 4 years. Salute to Joe Biden, bro. Salute to Joe Biden. He tried. You got to give him at least. You got. I can't knock a man for trying. I can't knock a man for trying. A man that tries, I can respect that. If you didn't try, I can't give you no respect. But if you tried, I got to give you a little respect for at least trying. He tried. I will say this though. I do think, now this is just my opinion. I don't know if this is true. I do think that he's been dealing with this for a while. I think he's been dealing with this for a while, and he's now coming out and telling people this. But I do think that he's been dealing with this for a while. I think that he's been dealing with this for a while, but maybe he just feels more comfortable to express it now. But I do believe that he's been dealing with this for a while. And like I said, salute to Joe Biden, man. Salute to him. But today we're talking about black fatigue. Are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? Are you tired of black people? Are you tired of the criminality, the ratchetness, the violence, the crime, the overuse of the N-word? Now, I want to say this, right? I think the N-word should be done away with. I don't think anyone should say it. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Hispanic. I don't think anyone should use the N-word. I think that we should totally do away with the N-word. I don't think anyone should say it, including me. So I think that we should have that. I'm not a proponent of the N-word. We got two idiots in here. Give me 1 second, bro. Yeah, yeah. You better get it out fast because I'm already got you in the thing. Yeah, yeah. Too late. And let me get JFK out of here. Let me one because I see you was gearing up for it too. Yeah, let me take care of that for y'all. There you go. But yeah, I think the N word should be done away with. That's just my opinion. And that's just how I feel. But let me get off that topic for you, and we get more idiots in here. Um, Clapper says the first black gangs used to protect their community and each other from corrupt cops. I just don't understand how it shifted from that to killing our brothers and sisters. Um, you know what it was? In my opinion, you have to realize the era that the Black Panthers came out of, and what happened to the Black Panthers. Look into COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO was a program used by the FBI to do everything in their do everything in their arsenal to hurt the movement. People were assassinated, people were set up, disinformation were sent to different other groups to create tension within the Panther Party. And what also happened was they flooded drugs into the community. They flooded drugs into the community. And then when the dust settled after all of that, after people had been murdered, set up, the drugs had ran rampant. What happened was you had a lot of young black men in those communities that had the ambition to do something, but they didn't have the guidance. They didn't have the guidance. They didn't have people directing them. They didn't have the leadership. And that's ultimately what happened and how gangs, wound up, hurting the community, other than helping the community. You had a lot of young youth out there with no guidance. If you look into the history of the Bloods and the Crips, a lot of people don't know this. When you look into the history of like the first gang wars and the first gang fights and the first where the beef started with a lot of these sets and a lot of these gangs, these were young men. These were not grown men. These were not men in their 20s, men in their 30s. These were like 16, 17, 15-year-old kids beefing with one another. Did the beef spill over? Did these beefs get out of hand? And were there grown men coming into these beefs after a while? Yes. But in the infancy of a lot of these gangs when they first started and where these wars were first waged, these were young men. These were young men, and they were way over their heads, and they were dealing with, the crack epidemic. They were dealing with economic. They were dealing with, no leadership. They were dealing with a lot, and things got out. Things got out of hand. Things got out of hand. You know. You know, and further proof of that. How about this? How about this? This is a great analogy as well, Bone. Think about this, Bone. Bone, think about this. If you look at what happened in LA, right, with the gangs and stuff like that and the Black Panther movement came out of California, I believe Oakland, right? If you look at how that began as something positive, right? And after all of the COINTELPRO and the government oppressing them and going after them, how all of that how that went downhill and turned into the Bloods, into the Crips, and it turned into something negative. Look at hip hop. Look at hip hop culture, Bone. In the beginning of hip hop, take a look at this. Take a look at this. In the beginning of hip hop was created. There were gangs in New York. Hip hop was created to stop the tension, stop the beef amongst gangs in New York. It was created to create unity, peace. All of these people from these different communities and these different blocks and these different projects coming together to do hip hop, to dance against one another, to graffiti, to enjoy hip hop music. It was created for something positive. They took that. They took that concept. They took that idea. And look what we have now. We have drill rap. We have rappers rapping about smoking on each other's death. You got to think a culture that was created to stop the beefs, stop the wars in communities. A culture that was created to stop crime, stop gang violence in New York. to stop it gets infiltrated by the corporations and gets turned into a tool and a vehicle to promote gang violence, to promote killing other black people. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. It's crazy when you think about it. It's crazy when you think about it. Bone says, for real, man, when they flooded crack in the 80s was down here. That's a fact. That's a fact. You know? And it was a lot of sellouts. People don't want to talk about it because, people love to champion a lot of gang members. But, if you were selling crack back in those days, you were a sellout to your community. Soda Drinker says, blessings to you, sir. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Let me read this poll for 1 second. Are you a white man struggling with black fatigue? 37% says yes. 63% says no. Now listen, everybody, is not dealing with black fatigue. Some people aren't dealing with black fatigue. Some people are not dealing with that sickness. But some people are. Some people are dealing with black fatigue, you know? That's a fact. But I want to know tonight, are you white dealing with black fatigue? When you see a black person in your community, are you petrified? Do you instantly want to move? Yeah, man. Bone says, oh no, not Bone. Jay said, if I recall the phrase correctly, ashamed of nothing, entitled to everything. Not to mention those defending the violent actions of Carmelo Anthony. Here we go. We're back to the Carmelo Anthony thing. Listen. This is what I'm gonna say about the Carmelo Anthony thing. And white people are entitled. You said, let me read that one more time. If I recall the phrase correctly, ashamed of nothing, entitled to everything. Not to mention those, but let me read the comment before that. I'm black, and even I have black fatigue. But if you're black and you have black fatigue, maybe you're just a coon. But I'm also tired of the people who enable if fatigue is certain behaviors that won't seem to stop. Let me just talk about the Carmelo Anthony thing first, and maybe we'll deal with whatever the other stuff you said, right? The Carmelo Anthony case, no matter what side you're on, whether you're pro Carmelo, whether you're against Carmelo, can we all just wait until the criminal trial? Can we all just wait? Like, no matter what side you fall on, can we wait till all of the evidence is in front of us? I've really been trying to stay away from that case because I feel like people jump the gun on a lot of these things. A lot of times people are, they get sensitive. Whether it doesn't matter what side you're on, whether you're on the Carmelo Anthony side or not, people get sensitive with these cases, and they don't wait for all the information to come out. I want all the information to come out. I want to know about the young man who lost his life. I want to know about his background. I want to know about his family's background. I want to know about the twins' background. I want to know if these two young men had a history of bullying people. I want to know about Carmelo Anthony's background. I want to know if he had a history of bullying people. I want to know if he had a history of carrying weapons to school. I want to know the full story. I want to know every single detail. Then when I see every single detail to this story, then I could say, this is what I think should happen. This is what I think should happen to Carmelo. This is what I think if he's guilty or if he's not guilty. That's what I'm waiting for. But people are so sensitive. They're so, galvanized by race. And it's sad. It's pathetic. Wait until you hear the full story. There are still details to that story and to that case that we still are not privy to. But people are galvanized by race, and that's the problem. And as Americans, we're always going to be galvanized by race. That's just, this country was built off racism. So we're always going to be galvanized by race. But me personally, I want to wait until the full story comes out. I'm not gonna, I'm not galvanized by race, and I don't feel, I'm sympathetic to the young man and to his family that lost his life. I'm sympathetic and condolences to that young man's family. But I want the full story to. This may be a self defense case. This may be a homicide case. But we have to wait until everything comes out in court. You know? Yeah, I just feel like I feel like Jay says, I mean, yeah, but a lot of the evidence is pointing to him. I feel you on that too, but I still don't condone the actions of violence. Violence doesn't solve anything. Well, do you condone do you condone self-defense? Allegedly, Carmelo Anthony was defending himself. Now, if it comes out in court, I'm just asking you personally, Jay, if it comes out in court that he was defending himself, let's say hypothetically, the two twins jumped on him, they tried to jump him, and he was defending himself. Would you condone violence then? Would you condone violence then? And there's a case in Texas right now. There's a case in Texas right now that has the same stipulations where there's a young man who was defending himself with a knife. I believe the man was either Hispanic or Asian. Yeah, there's a case in Texas right now. There's another case like that. Yeah. Vent says, a salute to Vent. He says they acting like it was an exhibition match set up by a boxing organization. Yeah, listen, that Carmelo Anthony case, I really feel that we have to wait until we see the full story. Let's see the full story. I believe, I believe when this case does happen, we're going to see people testifying on both sides. We're going to see people that come out against the twins and say, yeah, the twins, they used to bully us. They used to beat on this person, beat on that person. They had a reputation in school of intimidating people. We may see that. We also may see people that come out and testify against Carmelo and say, yeah, he always carried weapons to school. He was always threatening people. He was always, acting like a little thug. We may see these things in court, but we have to wait. Let's wait. Let's wait. Let's wait. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. No matter where it goes, people are not gonna be happy. If Carmelo goes free, people won't be happy. If Carmelo goes to prison, people won't be happy. Neither way, people won't be happy. No matter what, people won't be happy. I don't. And if you want to know, do I think that defending yourself with a knife? Do I think that that's right? No, but we also have to understand that if the man was jumped, it's 2 against 1. Now nobody wants to be jumped. Nobody wants to be beat on or jumped on by two individuals. If you had a weapon that was to even things out, most people would use the weapon. Now I'm not saying that that was right. I'm not saying that that was the right thing for him to do. But if you're getting jumped by two individuals, you're going to contemplate using a weapon because it's no longer a fair fight. This is no longer one individual against one individual where it's a fair one. Okay, let's whoever wins this fight. Because most people that are in a square up fight, like most men, this is my opinion. Most men that are in a fair fight where we put your dukes up, we go hand to hand. Your friends are over there, my friends are over there. We're agreeing to go hand to hand with it, right? Most people that agree to go hand to hand, they're not pulling out the weapon, unless they lose the bout and they're angry about it. But most people, there's people that have had fair one fights that have had their guns on them, and they said, you know what, I'm not gonna shoot you. I'm just gonna have a fair one with you. Most individuals who agree to have a fair one, most men who agree to have a fair one, they just have the fair one fight. And then whoever loses, loses. It's not worth me killing you. It's not worth me shooting you. Let's have the fight. The best man wins. So I'm leaning more towards the side of possibly this being a self-defense case. Possibly The twins may have jumped on him and he felt he needed to use that weapon. And again, I'm going to say it again. Do I think that that's right? No. I don't think that young man should have lost his life. I think that's sad. But I'm looking at different scenarios that why this may have occurred. It's my opinion. Jay says, I mean, if I agree, but if you don't want potential problems, don't bang. Well, listen, that's easy to say when you're in the heat of the moment. When you're in the heat of the moment, it's hard to say that. You could say that now, but Jay, if you walk down the street right now, right? If you walk down the street, remember you're not choosing to bang. I don't believe any of these men went to the whatever the tournament was, whatever it was. I don't believe none of these young men went to the tournament, wanting to get into a fight or wanting to get into an issue. I don't believe that. Um, no matter who it was, whether it be the twins or Carmelo, I don't believe none of them wanted that issue. And let's break it down to you. If you walked outside your house and you had a gun on you, say you had a gun on you or whatever, and two people ran down on you and jumped you. You're not looking for an issue. You're not choosing to bang. You didn't come out here for these people to get into an issue with them, but they're jumping you. They're on top of you, and you have this gun on you. It's no longer a fair fight. It's not a fair fight. They've jumped on you, and you need to protect yourself. So in the heat of the moment, a lot of people are going to, rationalize protecting themselves. That's just my opinion, though. Vince says he probably didn't plan to use it, but everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's what Mike Tyson said too. Everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's a fact. You could plan. You could plan, like, yo, bro. More than likely he didn't want no issues, but the issue came to him. Hmm. Are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? Are you fatigued from the Negroes, from the Negro race? Are you fatigued? Give me 1 second, y'all. I gotta text this girl back. Hold on. Give me 1 second. We back. We back. Yeah, I had to text this. I had to text this Costa Rican girl back. Had to text this girl I met from Costa Rica back. I had to text that back. I text my little Costa Rican cutie pie back. You know, you got to text these hoes back. Um, but I mean, I think we've said what we've needed to say in terms of black fatigue. Is there anything else we need to talk about in terms of black fatigue? Is there anything else that we need to discuss in terms of black fatigue? How have we kind of gotten this? I want to go into an hour. Vince says Costa Rican drinking Corona, living La Vida Loca. Yeah, man. Listen, man. Yeah, you got to do it, man. Costa Rica is a beautiful country, man. Beautiful country. Um, Jay says, what does black fatigue mean to you? Um, Me personally, what black fatigue to me is the original definition. Black fatigue to me is about black people living in America that are dealing with oppression, racism, systematic racism, and dealing with the pressures and the tensions of being black. Now, some white people are going to try to dismiss that, but they've never lived a black experience. They don't know what it's like to be in a store and for that white short storekeep or that Asian storekeep to follow you around. They don't know what it's like to get pulled over by a white supremacist cop and he's looking at every movement you make and you don't know if this white supremacist cop is going to shoot you dead in your car. They don't know what that's like. They don't know what it's like to walk through a white neighborhood and have the stares looking at you. What are you doing here? Why are you here? They don't know what it's like to be a black man and to walk down the street and there's a white woman or a white man walking on the same side of the street and that white person clutching their purse, clutching their bags. I don't know what this white Negro, I don't know what this black Negro may do to me. They don't know what that is. So that's what I think black fatigue is. And to me, that's what the definition of black fatigue is. The pressures and the tensions of being black, dealing with the white supremacist systematic oppression, racism. That's what black fatigue is to me, right? That's what black fatigue means to me. Yeah, that's what it means to me. Black people dealing with the pressures and the woes of being black in America. That's what it means to me. And Jay, what you said earlier, I agree with. Do I think that there are black people that are tired of the undesirables in their community? I'm not even going to call them N words. I'm not going to call them N words or nothing like that. Do I think that black people are tired of the undesirables, the ratchets, the gangsters? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't think people are focusing on that there are undesirables in every community. Every community has undesirables. The white community has undesirables. The Latino community, they have undesirables. The Asians, they all have undesirables in their community that they're not found of. But white America wants to fixate, the black criminality, the criminals, they're all ratchet, they're over sexualized, and the rap music and the yada yada yada. It's jargon, in my opinion. It's jargon. It's nonsense, and I pretty much laid it out here. We've laid it out here, front and center. Um, is there anything that I should get to? Let me get to the poll. Are you a white man dealing with black fatigue? 32% says yes. 68% say no. So most people are saying no. I'm not dealing with the ailment. I'm not dealing with the sickness that is known of black fatigue. A lot of people said they're not dealing with it. They're not dealing with it. So some people don't know. Some people are not dealing with black fatigue. Some people are not, dealing with that sickness, not dealing with that ailment, right? Um, it is what it is. It is what it is. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me one more text break. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Vent says, brought to you by Dos Equis Beer. Jay says, so I didn't vote because I personally feel it doesn't affect me or nearly as much as it would in America due to being in Canada. You mean you didn't vote for the Canada Prime Minister thing, or you mean you didn't vote for the American presidency? You didn't. Are you a citizen in America? I know you said you're Canadian, but you mean you didn't vote for the 2024 election? I didn't vote for the. Oh, you mean for the poll? Okay. Oh, for the poll. Okay. For the poll. Well, yeah. Well, if you're, I was more so talking to black. I was more so talking to the white individuals, because white individuals are more so talking about black fatigue. Now, I do understand that there are black people that are proponents of black fatigue, and they say that they agree black fatigue is a thing. But I was more so talking to white people because they're more louder on this. Oh, Jay says I'm a dual citizenship. I have dual citizenship. Oh, okay, okay. Well, yeah, listen, man. I didn't vote neither. I didn't vote neither. I didn't vote neither. So I'm not knocking anybody for not voting. I don't think that the choices were grand enough for anyone to vote. In my opinion, I don't think that the choices were even really that. The choices didn't knock my socks off. So I'm not knocking you for not voting. A lot of people didn't vote. I know I didn't vote. I wasn't gonna vote. I wasn't gonna vote for Donald Trump, and I wasn't gonna vote for Kamala. So I can't knock anybody for not voting. I can't knock nobody for voting. You know, the people that they chose for us to vote, they just wasn't good for us. But listen, guys, I think that's all I'm going to say. I think we pretty much laid this thing down. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody that came out. Salute to Vent for holding me down in the chat. Salute to Jay. Salute to everybody that's in the chat right now. Listen, guys, we're gonna do more. We're gonna do more lives. I'll probably do a live tomorrow. We'll probably get back on the computer and do a live. The Diddy case. I may get into that Diddy case. I've been kind of staying away from it ever since I came back from vacation. I've been kind of staying away from it. Hopefully, we'll see Sinclair in the next show and some of my other mods as well, or FBA. So we'll probably get into that Diddy case and the Tory case. There's a couple of things that I may get into this week coming up. I know I haven't been really paying those things any attention lately. We'll probably get into those things next week. But with that being said, listen, guys, you guys have a good night. Salute to Jay. Yeah, you guys have a good night. You guys have a productive week. And God willing, we'll see you guys on the next stream, man. You guys have a good night, man. We are out. Toodles.